welcome to Garden Style. So today I thought I would cover a couple of unusual varieties that you may not have thought of to put in your garden during the early spring. And I'll talk about some sun plants as well as a couple specimens I have chosen for the shade. As I'm always trying to find new things and something that's going to add color and a little bit more excitement to the shade garden than what I currently have. So I will start with sun first, and I just wanted to introduce you to this gorgeous little specimen. This is called a Senecio, and it's actually considered a succulent, and it has these beautiful white silvery kind of furry leaves. They're actually really super soft, and they can tolerate heat and drought really well. And the Senecio family is huge. There must be thousands of different types of plants that are in the Senecio family. This particular Senecio is actually next of kin to the Dusty Miller and some other succulent type plants, but just the thick furry leaves alone tell you that it doesn't require a lot of water. So I really like it because it adds some super brightness to the sun garden, and it can tolerate drought really well. And I intend to combine it with this plant right here. You can see how they just contrast and look beautiful together, as well as, and this is a wallflower, by the way, or Ericium. And this particular color of Ericium is called Winter Orchid. And I just like it because it's kind of bicolored. It has a little bit of orange and lavender in it. Really pretty, especially with this. And another plant that combines really well with this is the Spanish lavender, as you can see here. So with the beautiful purples. And all these plants kind of require the same conditions. We're a little bit more on the dry side, full sun, but I will tell you that this particular plant is pretty tender. It's down to zone 8, so if you live in zone 8 to zone 10, you're pretty good. You could probably leave this outside. But I intend to treat this like an annual, and I'm actually going to try to pull this inside and treat it like a house plant during the winter and see if I can't winter it over and bring it back out in the spring. But they're so stunning, just with their foliage alone. They kind of get insignificant yellow flowers on them, but honestly, if I see the flowers, I cut them off just so it puts more energy into making these beautiful leaves as opposed to their little yellow flowers. So I bought it for the foliage, and I have a couple of these I'm actually going to place in containers. But just gorgeous, and just a nice switch, a nice change up out in the sunny garden. So another plant I wanted to introduce you to is called Sacred Sage, and it's in the sage family, and yes, you can eat it, but a lot of folks like to use this particular sage, this is called a sacred white sage, for the little sage sticks that folks burn and actually cleanse the air with, that kind of thing. This is the type of plant that they actually use. It smells fantastic. Oh man, it's really aromatic, which is one of the reasons they use it as a sacred sage stick, as they call them. But some new specimen that I'm going to put in my herb garden, and we'll just see how it does. I haven't grown it before, so I want to try it this year. Okay, what else do we have? Something for the shade. Now this can take part sun to shade, as long as the sun is more in the early morning. And this is called Sabara. I want to get you the whole name here, if I can flip the tag over and show it to you here. This is also called Falsespiraea. Now, in some places, this can be considered invasive if you let it. It has a tendency to send out little shoots to the side of it and creates new plants. That's how they propagate themselves. But I intend to put this in the back border of my shade garden, and I just love it because it's got these beautiful kind of bronzy new growth on its leaves, and these can get quite large. These can get 6 to 8 feet tall, and they get these beautiful plumes on them, like almost like a pampas grass type plume on them during June and July. And I have every intention of putting them in the back of my shade garden. I have this huge garden, and I just wanted something in the background to kind of cover up where my compost is. In the very back of it, you can kind of see where I've been dumping all my grass clippings and things like that. So this will help cover it up during the summertime. And I just want to experiment with it. I haven't planted it before. And after reading up on it, I found out that it can be a little invasive. So where I'm putting it, I really don't care. I really don't mind the fact that it might propagate itself. And any of the extra plants that it decides to make, hey, I might dig them up and plant them in a different area of the yard. You know, I live on a little over an acre here, and there'll be plenty of room for this thing to do what it wants to do and accomplish what it is I'm trying to accomplish in the back of the shade garden. So this is Sabara Falsespiraea, and I'll put the names, of course, at the bottom so that you guys can see it. But I saw this, and then I also saw this. And this is called Sweet Tea Heucherella. This is a beautiful heuchera plant, and I'm a heuchera lover anyway, but it just combines so well with this that I'm going to put the two of them out in the garden together, as they accent each other really well. And this takes part sun to part shade as well. As you can see, it's got some blooms on it, but these are purchased mostly for their foliage more than anything. But thought that was a beautiful combination for the shade garden, and we'll go and start putting those two together themselves. Okay, and another plant, I'm sure some of you have heard of potato vine, or Ipomoea. Ipomoea marguerite is the lime green potato vine that a lot of people are really familiar with. But now they're coming out with some different colors of potato vine, and this one just happens to be called Blackie. And this is in fact a true potato. If you were to dig this up in the fall, you would have little tiny potatoes attached to it. Now, they're not grown to be edible by any stretch of the imagination. They're grown mostly for their beautiful foliage. And this has just those deeply cut leaves on it, and of course it's dark black. It's almost like a real deep dark purple. Kind of gets bronzy during the summer as it receives a little sun. But this is also going to go in my part sun, part shade garden. It does really well. And they're going to end up in containers as they start to drape over, and they're just beautiful by the time you get to the end of the summer. So another cool little plant I'm going to experiment with, and I meant to bring it with me today, but there's another potato vine that's similar in color actually to this heucherella, where they have kind of reddish leaves. So you're not stuck with just lime green potato vine anymore. They're coming out with all these other colors and things that I just want to experiment with. But this is a nice contrast with anything bright, you know, especially something like this in your part shade, part sun garden. Just some fun new specimens I wanted to introduce to you that I'm getting ready to plant in my own yard, as well as containers. So spring is in full swing. Here we are, it's the middle of April. We're finally starting to see more sun than we are darkness. Things are blooming and budding out like crazy, and of course the excitement has hit big time at the nursery. In about 2 weeks we hit Mother's Day, which is like Christmas Day for us in the nursery business. So we're gearing up, and we are full to the brim with beautiful shrubs and trees, and of course annual flowers, baskets. All our hanging baskets are starting to roll in, and it just gets exciting, and people are just anxious to get out and start planting some of these new flowers and specimens. So I'm going to show you a short little tour of my yard and all the beautiful things that are blooming right now, especially azaleas and rhodies are at their fullest. Here in the Northwest, we're just blessed with some of the most beautiful specimens of rhodies and azaleas here in the springtime. And it's the type of evergreen shrub or plant that you completely forget about until suddenly they're just coated in blooms. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about as I take you on this little tour. But you'll see things like candy tuft and some beautiful shrubs like this, like the Andromeda that I have right behind me here, or lily of the valley, with all their new growth. It just got through blooming, came out with these gorgeous leaves, you know, in a deep red, and then suddenly they turn light pink and then turn into the variegated leaf that the shrub is meant to be. But quick little tour for you guys, and certainly hope you're inspired and getting out there and getting your hands dirty. I am right on the edge of finally having my own yard cleaned up after this horrendous winter, and I certainly hope to get back in touch with you guys. And we have been just crazy busy at the nursery, and I just want to keep bringing out more plants and more specimens for you. Alright, so I'll quit blabbing and take you on a quick little tour. Meanwhile, hope you have a very special present in mind for your Mother's Day, and I will be taking a tour of the nursery and putting out another video as to what we carry for Mother's Day to get you inspired and get you out there. Alright you guys, hope you're gardening like crazy.